Developing a V-shaped physique is literally the biggest booster of attractiveness out there. It's not even comparable with plastic surgery and other shit like that. Being wider in your shoulders compared to your hips is just how a fucking primal alpha male is supposed to look like. And actually having such body will not only make you look like you have very good genes to pass on, if you know what I mean, but it will also just make you feel like a fucking beast every time you walk next to a mirror. I believe I'm credible to speak about this because I have a very solid V-taper in my own physique that I actually developed unintentionally, but at least right now I know exactly what it took. So let me explain exactly which muscles and how you should train to achieve this look. The first and the most important aspect of a V-shaped physique are the lats. It's the single muscle that can give you that wideness in your upper chest and upper back. And let me explain how did I manage to build my lats to such a nice degree. People who watch my channel probably already know that, but the secret is weighted pull-up with a grip slightly wider than shoulder width apart and with an overhand. This is literally the exercise that grew my lats the most. And how exactly you should program it. How many reps, how many sets, how many times per week. Basically how you should train it to get the most gains. Let me explain it to you. Basically the worst thing you can do is pick a random weight and just hop on a bar and start doing half push-ups with keeping. Just please don't do that. I believe the greatest method to grow any muscle is prioritizing strength. This means you need to pick a repeatable progression scheme, for example a double progression of 8 to 12 reps. If you don't know what that is, just Google double progression strength training. And just fully focus your efforts on progressively overloading on every single workout or every single week if you're already an intermediate. Basically have a system that you will be able to accurately predict how much progress you are going to experience in the next few weeks, and just stick to it as best as you can. If you want to know exactly how I went from 0 kg to 60 kg pull-up, watch my video right here. It's exactly about that. In case I forgot to pin it, it's called the King of Upper Body Exercises Pull-up or something like that. However, this is very important. Doing pull-ups won't do shit to your lats if you don't know how to engage them during pull-ups. And actually a lot of people have this problem. I actually too had that problem at the beginning. I did my pull-ups, but I did them like just with my arms, just with my biceps, and I didn't feel my back at all during pull-ups. And let me explain exactly what helped me. Basically, one comment on Reddit I saw was saying to, while hanging on a bar, just look straight up all the time, look straight up, and just imagine having an orange in between your shoulder blades. So literally like a round orange in between your shoulder blades, and you just want to squeeze it as you go up. So the higher you go, the more you want to squeeze it, and you want to just squeeze the whole juice out of it. And you want to focus on these two things on every single rep of pull-ups. And after some time, you won't even have to think about it, and you will really feel your back on every single pull-up. Also, if you struggle to figure out a proper technique for pull-ups, basically let me simplify it to you. You should divide your pull-up to 3 motions. The trap shrug, the back pull, and the bicep pull. So basically, when you start your pull-up, you just pull with your traps. You don't bend your elbows almost at all. It's just pushing from the traps. You can actually do that exercise. It's amazing for the warm-up. It's called scapular shrugs or something like that. And the second phase is the back pull. This is the most important phase, and on this phase you should really feel your back muscles working the most. I usually like to slightly lean away from the bar while I'm doing it, because basically the lat is activated when the arm comes to your body, to your torso. When your arm is just basically brought to your torso, this is when the lats work. So if you actually like slightly lean away from the bar, you really imitate that motion of bringing your arms to your body, you know? You really squeeze those lats and you really help them activate. So it is great for activating the back also. But the 2 things I told you earlier, the orange thing, just focus on that if you're a complete beginner. And the third thing is the bicep pull. So when we actually lean away from the bar, we will find that even after we pull ourselves up, we are still pretty far away from the bar, and we want to end our pull-up with a chin right over the bar, almost touching the bar. So that is why the third phase of a good pull-up is just pulling towards the bar, directly towards the bar, once you're already up there, with your biceps. Because then you just pull with your arms, and the biceps are the most engaged at that moment. And it is actually a good thing, because you will also really develop your biceps from pull-ups. But again, if you are a complete beginner, please just focus on the two things first, looking up and squeezing the orange. And if you actually feel your back on every single rep, then you can just make sure your pull-up resembles more or less my pull-up. But again, I'm just saying what was the most comfortable for me and what really built my lats and what let me get to very high weights on it. Okay, I probably spent the majority of this video talking about pull-ups, but it's really the best exercise for building that V-taper. So it's like, just focus 60% or even 80% of your efforts on weighted pull-ups and developing those lats, and you will have a V-taper. Simple as that. But you still have 20% of energy left, so what muscle groups you should also train to get that V-shaped physique? Obviously, shoulders. Big delts really make you look like a fucking superhero. It shouldn't be a surprise. And I've seen many people actually train mainly the side delts to achieve that look, but I personally never trained side delts. I only did overhead pressing, I only did handstand push-ups, things like that. Basically things for the front delts. And it also seemed to grow my side delts. And this is actually what Alex Leonidas talks about. He also didn't train his lateral delts at all, and they grew anyway from just overhead pressing. So you don't really need to focus at them, but again, if you really value having that V-taper and if you really just want it really bad, just do some lateral raises with dumbbells or with cables. I don't know, I'm not experienced here, so sorry. However, even if you decide to train your side delts, I really recommend you to still do some overhead pressing. Guys, sorry, this video is so fire that the camera overheated, but let's continue. As I said, even if you train your lateral delts, please also incorporate overhead pressing, because it just develops your whole delts, and just building your side delts won't look good, trust me. And to be honest, I would even say that just weighted pull-ups and just overhead pressing with barbell are the two exercises that will build 90% of your physique, of your whole physique. So if you just do those two exercises, you will literally have almost perfectly balanced physique. And assuming you use a repeatable progression system and prioritize strength and recover well, etc., I can guarantee just with these two movements you will look better than 80% of gym goers. So these exercises are so fucking powerful, please do them. But obviously it's also good to incorporate some more exercises than just these two, and I would really recommend to add some horizontal pulling and horizontal pushing. So for example, bent over rows or pendlay rows, and some bench press, for example, because if you just work in the vertical motion, you just do vertical pushing and vertical pulling, you might be risking getting some injuries. I've heard about people getting injuries from just doing a vertical pulling. For example, Ian Barskill, a very popular calisthenics athlete, I've bought his program, and he said there that he developed an injury in his lower back just because he was doing weighted pull-ups and he was not doing any horizontal pulling at all. So it's good to have a balance in your training program, but these two movements that I told you about earlier are just should be prioritized the most. And when it comes to some other muscles that might be good for getting that V-taper, I don't know, maybe teres major, but it's honestly the part of the lat. It will grow with your weighted pull-ups. Maybe traps, but they will also grow from weighted pull-ups. And if you also do deadlifts, which you should do, which you must do, because it's such a good exercise, your traps will grow just fine if you're a beginner. And if you're an intermediate and you've been doing a lot of weighted pull-ups and deadlifts and your traps are still small, that means you have just you just genetically need to isolate traps to grow them. And most people don't need to do that. So first get to an intermediate stage before you decide that you really need to isolate your traps. And some people also said that you should train your neck to look better, but honestly, I tried it, but I really don't enjoy training my neck, and I really don't think it makes such a big difference as some people think. Heck, Chris Bumstead doesn't train his neck as far as I'm aware, and he's like a fucking Mr. Olympia, so You really don't need to train your neck, but I guess it can help you look more muscular if you're wearing some baggy t-shirt, because then the only thing people see is your neck. So I don't know, do what you want. I really don't enjoy training neck, so I don't train it. Simple as that. And honestly, that's pretty much it. Weighted pull-ups and overhead presses are just the most important. And the deadlift will also grow your traps, which also might get you more of that V-shaped physique. So that is pretty much it for this video. If you have any thoughts about that, maybe I should also mention some other muscles, write a comment below. And if you want to build a 10 out of 10 physique as quickly as possible with my personal help and enjoy every single training session, is the top link in the description. That's all for today. Peace out.